Hey, welcome into Boston has entered the chat. If you love this show, and we know you do, thank you. Check out Hold My Banner on NESN as well. Of course, we break down all things Celtics, but we also talk all these crazy trades in the NBA. Hold My Banner can be found on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else you get your podcast. All right, here we go. You know what that noise means, don't you? The chat has begun. So come on, Boston, enter it. Boston has entered the chat. Travis Thomas here with George Valecki and my friend. We are getting closer and closer to the Super Bowl.
I cannot wait. It gets into it where you have that weekend in between.
Yes.
Where you have nothing to bet on.
The Pro Bowl.
The weekend. I saw clips on TV. I did not even bother.
Good for you.
No.
Good for you.
I am above that.
Good for you.
Do I love ball? Yes. Do I need the Pro Bowl? No.
No. Bro, this is how bad the Pro Bowl is.
Yeah.
My kids wouldn't watch it.
Yeah.
It was like tug of war. I was like, hey, look at this. No.
Yeah, they're like, why would I watch people do a tug of war?
They did watch Drake May throwing the
Jamar
ball
Chase.
and all that. Yeah.
At good wide receivers.
They watch that.
Dad, that's what that looks like? You go, when he has a real receiver.
When he has a real receiver.
When he has a number one.
Yeah.
Blame Elliott Wolf for that.
Yeah, sit down, son. Let me tell you about T. Higgins and free agency.
Yes.
That's I had those conversations.
Sit on Dad's lap. Let me tell you about.
But the actual things that they do,
Jaden Higgins,
to try to bring in like younger audience, and
not
get
working.
Cool. Nope.
You're literally the sample size.
The
right
demographic.
Yeah.
The demographic.
Yeah.
As you know, we are interactive, so please email us, thechat@nesn.com. You can also tweet at us using the hashtag NESNChat as well. Coming up, we'll talk about the big matchup between the Chiefs and the Eagles. It's nearly upon us, but we're not going to go game script just yet. We're going to go Super Bowl MVP, so we'll dive into that. Plus, find out who we think will get the NFL Hall of Fame announcement later on today. And we play a game of What If? Celtics edition. We'll explain that later on.
Kyrie.
Oh.
Sorry.
Question mark. Yeah.
Warning.
Spoiler alert.
No. Don't get triggered, though. Don't worry. We're not saying the Celtics should do anything. We're taking a look back at what could have been. Don't worry.
Do you spoil shows like before anyone can watch the finale? Do you come to work and go, guys, what did you think?
No.
All right.
But I wanted to you got to throw out that tease.
Give a little
what if with the Celtics? Well, what are you what ifing? It has to do with Kyrie. What if Kyrie never was a Celtic? That could be it.
You're giving me Brian Windhorst vibes.
Stay tuned.
I like it.
Why would they do that?
All right, so let's jump into the Super Bowl.
Why would Nico Harrison trade Luka Doncic for one draft pick? Just one. At least give me 7 draft picks in 2050, just so I could see it.
He's not over
it. No.
I don't think you ever will be.
I'm trying not to curse.
Bro, imagine how Mavericks fans feel. This is how you feel.
Dallas, I feel for you guys.
Imagine how Mavericks fans feel.
I feel for you guys.
I know. All right, let's get into it. Super Bowl MVP. So let's do this. Let's give so here are all the odds here and all the usual suspects, if you will. We know the names. Jalen Hurts, Patrick Mahomes, Saquon Barkley, of course, A.J. Brown, yada, yada, yada. So if you were to give me 3.
Yeah.
3 catalysts, 3 finalists.
Yeah.
Go ahead and give me 2 that are kind of obvi that we all probably feel, and then give me a long shot for Super Bowl MVP.
I'm just confused why there's the odds from DK. I opened up my DK app, and I can't find NFL Super Bowl MVP odds.
Yeah, honestly,
FanDuel's got them.
To bet the Super Bowl right now, you should be able to open any betting app ever.
And it's up.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. So to get to it, cut to the chase. Look, they're the 2 guys you got to pay attention to. It's Patrick Mahomes, plus 110. It's plus money on a Patrick Mahomes bet, and it's Saquon Barkley. Any conversation you have about Super Bowl MVP, it should start with Saquon and Mahomes. Because, look, if it's plus money, if it's minus 110, not a lot of juice, it's a smart bet.
Yeah.
If it was minus anything above minus 110 for Super Bowl MVP, stay away. But to get to it, in reality, though, my top 3 guys, it's Saquon Barkley at plus 250. It's Jalen Hurts at plus 370.
Over Mahomes.
Yes. I think Eagles win. But I want to be...
Okay.
I want to give the fans something to look forward to, though, because plus 110 end of the day, you're like, that's not that enticing. Yeah. And then outside of those guys, which crazy, we're going to give sleepers. I don't think this is a sleeper. Jalen Carter, 95-1.
I found it at 60 or 70-1.
95-1.
Yeah, I don't hate that. Jalen Carter. You're going all Eagles here.
Yeah, because, and look, you could get Kelsey 16-1. Look, Xavier Worthy, 31.
Big
Plus
play,
3,100.
runs a reverse.
2 touchdowns.
Yeah.
It could be in a key moment. But the 3 guys that I really lock in on, Saquon Barkley, Jalen Hurts, Jalen Carter.
Wow.
Maybe I'm projecting on who I think wins.
Well, that's exactly what you are doing, but I think that's part of this.
Yeah, who do you think's going to win?
Yeah, like you
Who do you
almost
think's
have
gonna
to
be a
work backwards, don't you?
Yeah.
Who do you think's going to win the game? If you're Chiefs, then you know damn well it's Patrick Mahomes, and you pay the price, whatever it is, plus 120 or whatever you said. Obviously, if Kelsey wins it, or if Kelsey you think's going to have a big game, Patrick Mahomes has to get him the ball. Xavier Worthy's interesting because that's someone, yes, Mahomes has to get him the ball in theory, but he's also so fast. He's so explosive. He's such a big home run hitter, big play type of guy. He could get a reverse. We know Andy Reid with his creative play calling. There could be a reverse, a trick play, something like that where Xavier Worthy gets love. But I'm with you. I'm on the Eagles side of things. However, I'm also a degenerate. So I would probably hedge and take a little something on Patrick Mahomes. Because if the Chiefs win, it's likely it's Patrick Mahomes. We get it. Okay, 3-peat.
Yeah.
This guy's chasing Brady.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's Mahomes. But I am on the Eagles side of things. Where we disagree a little, Saquon is too easy. I just think the Chiefs' defense is so stout. Spags, right now, people are calling him the greatest defensive coordinator of all time.
Rightfully so.
Rightfully so. So I just have to believe they're going to take away your strength. It doesn't mean you shut down Saquon. I've been saying all week, there's no way you shut down a Saquon Barkley. But does it mean he doesn't pop off a big run or two? Does it mean he has to earn every yard that he gets? Think back to the college football playoff, George, because we gambled on that heavily too. Remember Boise State, the running back. He had to work for every yard he got. He played well, ran for over 100 yards, but he had to earn it.
Yeah.
And I could see that with Saquon here, where it's like a big workload for him to get to a respectable stat line. I think Jalen Hurts is really – I think you have a blind spot here. I think Jalen Hurts is the guy. I think this is the bet. And it's a better number, too, plus 350 wherever you shop.
Plus 370, absolutely.
There you go. So try to get the best number, right? But I think Jalen Hurts, because the ball's going to be in his hands more than Saquon, because also we watched him a couple years ago in the Super Bowl play better, quite frankly, than Patrick Mahomes. He just made that critical mistake.
Yep.
He has shown – I mean, I've been hating on him all year for standing in the pocket and delivering, but the last time I hated on him.
How dare he play winning football?
Well, I know.
The nerve.
But listen, the last time I did hate and I did doubt him, it was against the Commanders, and he stood in the pocket and he delivered.
Yeah.
And he also ran.
Twice.
So I'm like, okay, I'm done betting against this guy. I am on the Eagles. A way for me to hedge is to sprinkle something on Mahomes MVP. But for me to go all in like you did, instead of Saquon, I will go Jalen Hurts. I told you Mahomes for the hedge, and then I'm with you on Jalen Carter. 70-1, or what did you say, 95-1? Did
Plus
you see
9,500
Oh, my
right
God.
here.
Okay, so shop around for the price.
$100 gets you $9,500.
This is a game wrecker type that you have no dependence on Saquon nor Jalen Hurts.
Yep.
If you are in a low-scoring, ugly, bloody-nosed, rock fight kind of football game, defensive, low-scoring, Jalen Carter can wreck this game. And with those kind of long shot odds, that is not a bad bet at all. Conversely, if you think the Chiefs win that type of game, although I would still put my money on Mahomes to make a play here or there and go to Disney World, I still think Chris Jones at 60-1 or whatever.
65.
There you go, 65-1. Chris Jones, much like Jalen Carter, a game wrecker who doesn't need to depend on Travis Kelce or Patrick Mahomes to win the award. And we've seen Chris Jones on big stages make plays, sacks, sacks, recoveries, interceptions, whatever. So I think both of those defensive linemen, Chris Jones and Jalen Carter, depending on who you think wins the game, are not bad bets.
And to the point of it, too, where you see Chris Jones 60-1, I see 65. Again, why you should look around. If you bet $100 at the book for 60-1, you're giving up 500, what you could possibly win.
That's
so
right.
always get the best number. That's where it goes to of like, as insane as offensively talented it is, you see these long shots, but it makes sense.
Yep.
And try to think script-wise. What can Jalen Carter do? Blow up the pocket multiple times. Maybe force a Mahomes fumble or a Kareem Hunt. Just stop him at the line of scrimmage as you're going in for a goal line score.
Right.
If Jalen Carter has big plays and big moments, it can happen. Nick Bolton almost won a Super Bowl MVP. He had a pick six and he had a scoop and score. One of the two got called back, I forget. But if both went happened, he would be the Super Bowl MVP. That's where I go to for my sleeper.
Okay.
Zach Bond, 120-1. Off-ball linebacker for the Eagles. Gosh. But it works in a defense when you rush 3 or 4 and he's allowed to roam and make plays.
He's had a great
year.
The
structure of him behind Josh Sweat, Jalen Carter, Milton Williams, playing for a Vic Fangio defense is perfect. But what was he doing against against the Commanders? Punching the ish out of the ball, forcing fumbles, recovering fumbles, making plays like that happen. If he does the same to a Travis Kelce, a Kareem Hunt, again, a Patrick Mahomes making plays with his legs. And by the way, Bond is a great coverage linebacker as well.
Yeah, he is.
Because of how he is in this system.
Pick six, tackles.
If he's the reason this Chiefs offense gets stopped in key downs, key moments of the game, he could very well win it.
Yeah.
Plus 120,000, 120-1.
Man, that's not a bad bet. We are just so heavily on the Eagles. I see you scrolling, so you have the odds. Can you go back to the top? I mean, Kelsey's got to be up there. I'm just trying to think of, other than Kelsey and other than Worthy, who would be a long shot for the Chiefs? I know I mentioned Chris Jones.
Hollywood Brown makes sense.
Okay.
You could get him 65-1.
Yeah.
Him, Kareem Hunt, and Chris Jones, I'll have the same odds, which is absurd.
Kareem Hunt's not a bad.
Goal line back.
That's not a bad
Scores
bet.
a couple touchdowns.
Yeah.
And if it's a low-scoring game, which is how the Chiefs would have to win because you're slowing Saquon down.
That's right.
Hollywood Brown, since he's been healthy and his shoulder's been fine, has been a chain mover for the Chiefs. Same thing. That's plays. A good long shot.
He's a splashy guy, too.
The one I given all this to, and I brought it up, but don't sleep on a Nick Bolton.
What is he, $1 million?
Plus 300,000, 300-1.
I mean, come on.
Hey, Juju Smith-Schuster?
Hell no.
He's going to have 2 catches. One of them's going to be big. You know it. He's not winning MVP,
Let me tell you something.
Out of pure pettiness, I'm not betting on him.
Let me tell you something.
He could have the game of his life. I'll be happy I didn't make
I would
the bet.
not bet on Juju Smith-Schuster with your money. And your paper is long.
It's
I wouldn't bet a damn cent.
Double check who does your audits for you.
I would bet against him. I would bet on him to get in trouble on TikTok and not play in the game before I'd bet on him to do anything in the damn. Watch him have 10 catches, 200 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
Just think game script.
Gosh.
Think who's going to win and think who's going to have a crucial role in why they win. Dude, you could get A.J. Brown, who's the best wide receiver on both rosters, 33-1. Like that's again too easily could have 2 touchdowns. He's going to be going against Trent McDuffie, a ton who's a really good corner. He's going to be going against Chamari Connor. I think of George Karlaftis, but it's his role on Saquon's exceptional outside the tackles. Yeah. That's where his bread and butter is made. But that's why I go, could it be a Nick Bolton? Could it be a Leo Chenal? Because the guys that could keep him from breaking runs open, especially on the outside, is what could be key. George Karlaftis, good pass rusher.
Yeah.
And to go back real quick, though, where you said it, and I understand what you're saying of how Saquon's likely going to have to earn every yard.
Yes.
There's a difference in talent level between a Boise State and Penn State. But between the Eagles' offensive line and the Chiefs' defensive line, it's a lot closer. It's Lane Johnson, Jordan Mailata.
Fair.
Let's see how healthy the interior of the line is. Because as we know, Landon Dickerson was dealing with it. Cam Jurgens was dealing with it. But with Saquon, it's all about, and you could tell it when you watch him, what does he do as he gets towards the line of scrimmage? If he's full steam ahead, you're going, oh no.
You're dead.
This is going 50.
Yeah.
Exactly. Can they keep him to 4 yards a rush? 6, which is winning with Saquon. I just, I project with the Eagles. I think it's Saquon Barkley. If you were to go with the sleepers, though, look at a Zach Bond.
Yeah, I don't hate that.
You could look at an A.J. Brown, 33-1. You can look at a Marquise Brown, 65-1. If Hollywood Brown has 2 touchdowns, it's why they win. Again, think about it like that.
Yeah.
It's Kenyon Mitchell and Cooper DeJean. One of those guys is going to be on Travis Kelce. The other could be playing on Xavier Worthy, and that could open up things for Hollywood Brown.
I'll be honest. I know we're bringing up long shots there, but
we're talking sleepers.
Even you talking about Saquon, though, and the game script you laid out, I still go back to Hurts because is this not the greatest decoy ever? Not to say that Saquon's not going to be involved in the game plan. It's absurd. Of course he is.
Tush push.
But yeah, like
read options at the goal line.
If you're play action passing with Saquon, if you are RPOing with Jalen Hurts, my God, hey, fake the handoff to Saquon, keep it yourself. Which we see all the time with the Eagles. It's not like I'm reinventing the wheel here. But this just feels like the right game to do that. Because I have to imagine, as great, not good, as great as the Chiefs' defense is, they have to be putting their resources in stopping the run game, period. Saquon and Jalen Hurts. I don't know if Jalen Hurts gets big runs on you, but I just think he'll have a better chance than Saquon. I would think all hands on deck are on Saquon Barkley. And that will give Jalen Hurts not only the opportunity to run it more, but there should be some opportunities to take the top off the defense. Devontae Smith is another one I don't know his odds. Devontae Smith could be in a situation where, I mean, we're talking about A.J. Brown and all
95 to 1 Devontae Smith.
What if he gets 3 tutties? What if there's some
mismatch? And
mismatch?
especially that's a guy that doesn't get Trey McDuffie on him.
Because there's a tension on Saquon.
Yeah. Tension on A.J. Brown.
There's a tension on A.J. Brown.
Respect to Jalen's legs.
There's a tension to Jalen's legs. If we lose, the Chiefs, I'm saying, if the Chiefs lose, Jalen Hurts has to have the big play to beat us. What if he does? And what if it's Devontae Smith, who is
a really good receiver?
I mean, bro, he can do everything. He can route you. He can go deep.
And to compare it to what I like you point out about, the Chiefs' top 3 pass catchers are 16, 31, and 65 to 1. Devontae Smith is 95 to 1.
That's crazy.
Think about how crucial his role is in that offense.
Is this the guy? Did we just land on him together? Can we clip this off just in case?
Let's talk through it.
Can we? Because if this guy wins Super Bowl MVP, I mean, outside of Philly, we're the only ones bringing him up.
After this long convo, I'm waiting for the odds to come up on DK again just to see where they're at.
Sure.
Why not sprinkle it?
Okay.
The second best receiver on this offense. The third best playmaker on this offense.
All right.
Against a really good running back and a really good wide receiver 1. Why not Devontae Smith?
Let's put a bow on this conversation here.
Yeah.
Out of the long shots we talked about, Jalen Carter, we agree. I'm going to throw Chris Jones in because he's Chris Jones. And Devontae Smith. You could only bet one. Who would you bet? That's a great question. You got to give me that. It's almost like I do this for a living.
Jalen Carter, Chris Jones,
Chris Jones, Devontae Smith. One long shot. You would. Because he touches the ball and he can score touchdowns.
Jalen Carter's role is big, but he's going against Trey Smith and Creed Humphrey. He's an interior pass rusher.
Yeah.
Those are 2 really good interior offensive linemen for the Chiefs.
Right.
Chris Jones, same thing. But Devontae Smith could exploit a weakness. And to your point on Spags, he could go, we're not going to let 26 beat us. We're not going to let 11 beat us. You know what? If 6 beats us, so be it. But if we take those 2 out of it, it changes the complex of this offense. And then the Eagles could still win.
Right.
It's picking your poison. I would go Devontae Smith. He also, he's right in the middle on the long odds. But again, if you are on FanDuel, Devontae Smith, 95 to 1.
That's insane to me. I think I might bet that.
I had to double check.
I can't help
the
myself.
odds. I had to do the same thing after 120 to 1, but it's 120 to 1.
I cannot. I just can't even help myself. By the way, we want to hear, who would you bet on? Who do you think will be the Super Bowl MVP? Tweet at us with the hashtag NESNChat or email us, thechat@nesn.com. George, I don't know if you saw this or not, but the Bucks added another weapon for Giannis and Dame trying to beat the C's. We'll talk about that next. So the big question now is, will the Celtics repeat? Will they claim Banner 19? You can find everything about the NBA and its culture on NESN's basketball podcast, Hold My Banner. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else podcasts are found. All right, let's get to it. What's trending? 3 stories, 3 minutes each. And I want to start there. Kyle Kuzma joins Giannis Antetokounmpo and Damian Lillard now in Miami. So the trade is complete. That is Milwaukee's big 3, so to speak. I love this move for the Bucks. It strikes no fear in my heart for the Celtics. I still think in a 7-game series, I'm going to take the Celtics. Kyle Kuzma is not going to keep me up at night, okay? However, if we're all being honest here, the Bucks needed Kyle Kuzma in the worst way. This is a guy in Kuzma who has proven at this point he's not a number one option.
Yeah.
That's proven. I think he's a decent 2 option, probably on a bad team, but on a really good team, a playoff type team like the Bucks. He is a great, not good. I think he's a great 3rd option. Now, he has to prove it, George.
Yeah.
I'm anointing him this great 3rd option. He has to prove it, but now he gets the opportunity to do that. We saw him back in the day with the Lakers more in that kind of role, and he had success. And he was young back then. Now a veteran guy, been around the league, had a chance to be the man, fizzled out there. This is a perfect landing spot for him to prove that he belongs. I still would take the Celtics, though, because they're too deep.
Yeah.
A great move for the Bucks.
Yeah, and I feel a little like validated. For the longest time, I was just like, people kept talking about Chris Middleton, like he's the 3. Yeah. And I was like, his prime is past him. Yeah. His health is not there. Like, why keep holding on to a Chris Middleton? It didn't make sense. And the Bucks literally just told everyone, Chris Middleton is no longer what he once was. This gives you someone that's more available. It still gives you someone that's not a threat from 3. It gives you someone that is a good scorer but can be up and down. It gives you someone that could be a tick or 2 worse on defense.
Yeah.
It moves the needle up for the Bucks because of availability and youth, but it doesn't move the needle to me in the threat of the East. Where it's the Bucks are still the Bucks. It's because they have Giannis. You got to add more than a Kyle Kuzma that's averaging 16 points per game on a very bad basketball team. Now, it's of course the minutes can be, they're just going to play young guys. They already were decided to move on from Kuzma. Like, who cares to play him all these minutes? But he's still playing around 28 minutes a night. Like, this is a guy still in volume usage, getting volume shots. It just, to your point, it's when I look at this trade, it's a good trade for the Bucks. I think it's a great trade to help out Giannis. It doesn't make the Bucks a bigger threat to me.
Okay.
For the Celtics.
Let's take the Celtics out of it. In the East, the other top 2 teams right now in order are the Cavs and the Knicks. I mean, if you take the Celtics out of it, does this make the Bucks better than the Cavs and or the Knicks in your mind?
No.
Okay.
I just think, especially on the defensive end of the floor, how good both those teams are, the Knicks and the Cavs as well.
I would put them above the Knicks because I know the Knicks will be hurt by the time the playoffs come around.
Can't take Tom Thibodeau out of it.
Right?
Can't take Tibbs out
of it. You can take the Celtics out of the conversation. You can't take that.
Tibbs.
So I would, at that point then, I would have the Bucks right behind the Celtics and Cavs, which is really good. But it's not going to get you to the finals, I don't think.
It's just still, like, how do you match up with the Celtics over 7 games?
You don't.
Exactly.
They're too deep.
Yep.
All right, the Red Sox and Cardinals have had recent talks. How about this, George, about Nolan Arenado? I mean, here it is right here. What do you think of this? Because I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
When I see this, it kind of makes me feel like, all right, well, the Alex Bregman ship has sailed.
Yeah.
And I would never say I'm settling for a Nolan Arenado, who I believe is going to be a Hall of Famer. But I always, and I've been consistent all offseason, you and I have talked about it a ton, and you agree with me that Bregman's a better fit. It just feels if the Arenado thing is heating up, and we've known this whole time that it was rumored, but now it's starting to heat up. That tells me the Bregman sweepstakes is likely over, and we are now pivoting to Arenado. So in that sense, even though it feels like a settling, I still want it, and I'm good with it because I do
defensively.
Yeah, but still, regardless, George. This offseason needs one more piece to feel like we've had a really good offseason for the Red Sox. And if it's Arenado, although it's not Bregman, who's on my wish list, I can live with it. Does that make sense? It's settling, isn't it? As I say it out loud, it feels like it's settling.
In the lineup, it's definitely settling.
Okay.
Because you need that big righty bat. Like Nolan Arenado is not the hitter he once was. And at third base, at a DH spot, however you want to slot any single lineup. He's got to be third. You need something. He's playing third.
He's got to be.
And it's again, or is that Rafi DH, Casas at first?
Right.
What makes all of this interesting is that Chaim Bloom is now the president of baseball ops for the Cardinals. After his time with the Red Sox was done, he went to St. Louis, and he's in charge of what they do personnel-wise. And we know the knock on Chaim Bloom while he was in Boston is he was too protective of the prospects. He was willing not to give up at all, to the point where people stopped picking up his phone calls. It makes it easier to get a trade done between the Red Sox and Cardinals because Chaim has knowledge of the Boston Red Sox prospects,
Sure.
but obviously has a bias to them and wants them even more.
Right.
But for the pure Red Sox perspective of it, massive upgrade defensively, especially at third base, where it's a routine and tough plays he can still make. But how does this lineup all work together? And again, to your point, though, but what if this is a long play? Arenado at third. See how much longer, how many years he has left there.
He's got a handful.
Rafi to first.
Okay.
You give it one more offseason.
All right.
Vlad Jr., the big signing,
Oh,
DH.
you won't let it go, will you?
No.
He allegedly he wants to be here.
If he doesn't get an extension, if he doesn't get an extension before the regular season, he said, don't do it. I'm going to the Red Sox, pretty much.
You would trade those prospects to get him?
Vlad Jr., you just got to sign him. Just got to sign him. What are you giving up for Nolan Arenado? That's my thing. Is it a Christian? It won't be a Christian Campbell, but you don't do that.
For Vlad Jr., though, the Blue Jays may be smart for once in their life.
Trade
and
at the
move
deadline.
him, yeah.
But
so
then
they don't
he has
lose him
to-
for nothing.
But then he has to agree with an extension with that new team.
That's what I'm saying. Would you be willing to give up some of these prospects?
Who it all
Within
depends.
reason, right?
Yeah. But he could just say, yeah, I'll trade me there. Cool. And then he'll go to the new team and be like, don't sign me.
Can you tell we're ready for baseball?
I'm going to Boston.
Are you ready for baseball?
Yes.
Pitchers and catchers, baby. All right, none of the players in the NFL, none of them, want to add an 18th game to the season.
them.
Per NFLPA's Lloyd Howell. Quote, no one wants to play an 18th game. I told you that's what they said. Good for them, right?
Yeah.
Roger Goodell, you money-hungry SOB.
I thought you were going to say, you mother effer. Well, he said about a month ago, he's like, 18 games is the next logical step.
Oh, God.
I mean, this is Roger Goodell that 18 games is the next logical step. This is Roger Goodell that says the Saints are, the owners of the Saints are great corporate, transparent citizens. Roger Goodell.
Roger.
Look, you are not talking 18 games until you talk 2 bye weeks. You're not talking 18 games until you talk 2 preseason games.
Should we talk
But I don't
18?
blame no, you shouldn't. You should not. You should talk 2 bye weeks right now with the 17-game season. You should be talking 2 bye weeks right now with Thursday Night Football forced on these teams. You should be talking 2 bye weeks right now with games on Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday over the course of a calendar year with 17 games. Roger Goodell a month ago said 18 games is the logical next step. The players are saying hell to the no, and I don't blame them. Who does 18 games benefit? It would benefit the players
pockets.
and more game checks. It benefits only the 31 billionaires or the 31 groups of owners outside of the Packers. They don't get no cut checks. Why don't they? That's all it is. It's more TV money. But for the players, no, of course. I'm good for them. No one wants to play. I don't blame them. Do you want an 18th game?
No, I actually, with a little over a minute here, kind of want to go hot takey. If you look at the Super Bowl ticket prices, they've slashed them because they're not selling like they used to. Ratings are still great, no question. But now you have the players saying, we don't need more games. Everyone just relax. Do you think oversaturation is starting to set in with the NFL? Or is that too premature to say that? I'm just seeing some signs here. The ticket prices, Roger Goodell standing on the podium as he always does, defending people he shouldn't. I told you, I brought this up earlier this week. He brought up an international Super Bowl, and everyone kind of groaned. Like,
Idiot.
what? Like, are we getting to the point now where it's like, okay, football's king. No one disputes that. But we're starting to see a little bit of fatigue with the product. Or is that too hot takey? Because this feels like another one. The players are like, bro, relax. We're good where we're at. We don't need expansion. We don't need any more. No mas.
It could teeter towards that. Where 18 games makes sense money-wise is the extra TV deal. And that's where the Super Bowl probably prices are getting slashed too. It's such a good TV product.
Right.
You get a better view of the halftime show watching Kendrick dance all over Drake's grave at home than in person because the stage's back could be to your face. It could be heading there. The tickets price is getting slashed for the Super Bowl is really interesting in it all.
I'm sorry, Drake.
It's still getting 112 million viewers.
Drake cannot catch a win.
Dude, he sued him. He tried to sue him. How can you apologize to anybody?
This is how bad this is. We're talking NFL schedule, and Drake gets brought up and just slandered. I'm sorry, Drake.
No.
Thank you, Drake, for 20 years of memories. It's over now.
Yeah.
Clearly.
Yep.
So thank you for your contributions to society and to the music culture, because it's over.
Do you know what my father did?
Is that your Drake voice?
Everything Drake did to Pusha T, Kendrick did to Drake. And then Drake's like, I'm suing you.
Why this voice?
Because that's what he sounds like when you sue somebody.
I promise, no more Drake talk, but we will
I'm
talk
not promising that.
more pigskin. Well, maybe there will be more Drake talk, but there'll definitely be more pigskin coming up as well. But first, you can enter the chat too. I'm telling you, get in here. Whether you have a question about your favorite team, perhaps you need life advice. We are life coaches on the side. Or even if you have something you just need to get off your chest, this show's therapeutic. We're here for you. Tweet at us using the hashtag NESNChat. You can also email us at chat@nesn.com. We want to hear from you, so get in here and party with us. Would ya? All right, George, Pro Football Hall of Fame class of 2025 will be announced today. Now, I'm going to read you these names super fast and in a hurry, but only 5 will be announced. Eric Allen, the corner. Jared Allen, defensive end. Willie Anderson, tackle. Jahari Evans, a guard. Antonio Gates, we remember, tight end. Torrey Holt, wide receiver. Luke Kuechly, Boston College. Linebacker, Eli Manning, QB. Steve Smith, senior wide receiver. Terrell Suggs, pass rusher. Fred Taylor, running back on that Pivot podcast, too. Adam Vinatieri, kicker, who we just had.
Yep.
Reggie Wayne, wide receiver. Darren Woodson, safety. Marshall Yanda, offensive lineman with the Ravens. Only 5 will get in. Let's go all 5, who we think. Let's start this out. I mean, let's go with the obvious ones, right? Because some of these could be fringe. Obvious for me that jumps right out, and we just had him on, is Adam Vinatieri.
100%.
I mean, what the hell? If he doesn't get in, what's wrong with the Hall of Fame? What more can a guy do? Game-winning kicks in big games, like conference championships, Super Bowls with Brady and Manning.
4 rings.
Well, this is the definition of a Hall of Famer, is it not?
Yes.
Adam Vinatieri is the slam dunkiest dunk of this class, in my opinion.
It's not just that he's the greatest kicker of his generation. He's the greatest kicker ever.
All time.
For the rings, for the big game performances, for the longevity of his career as well.
Yeah.
96 to 2019.
Yeah.
NFL's all-time scorer. That's it. It's like you look at this list, who's like first ballot, no doubt about it.
That's right.
Who jumps off. As I'm going through the list, I'm like, oh, he's good. Does he get in? Oh, but he's in this class. And who else? You get to Adam Vinatieri and you go, full stop, Adam Vinatieri's getting in.
Yes.
So that's the obvious one to me.
Yeah, I would agree with that. The other one, he didn't get in on his first try. I think it's overdue. I think Torrey Holt should get in this class.
Okay.
And listen, I watched all of Torrey Holt's career. He looked the part. He was an integral part of the greatest show on turf. Mm-hmm. You have to go Torrey Holt here. I understand that the game has changed now. Even since then, as prolific as the greatest show on turf was, still caught that L in the Super Bowl, though. Hoo-yo. However, the game has changed, so all these receivers' numbers are inflated. So Torrey Holt isn't as eye-popping. But, I mean, we all watched. Mm-hmm. This guy is a Hall of Famer. I think it's overdue. He should already be in. I think the committee should make it right now. Torrey Holt, in my mind, is a Hall of Famer. What say you?
His run for his career was ridiculous.
Yeah.
One of the most explosive receivers in the game, one of the fastest. Had multiple, like, in the day of football, and especially in the early 2000s, where it was still run dominant, defense dominant. To your point, the greatest show on turf, like multiple 1,600-yard seasons. Won a Super Bowl as well. How long he had his career. What I hate with how wide receivers are treated in the NFL is that, like, they seem always, well, he'll get in eventually. So, like, that's what I feel it will be with Steve Smith Sr. I think Steve Smith Sr. should get in. I think Torrey Holt should get in. I don't think Steve Smith Sr. gets in because Torrey Holt is getting in this year.
Okay.
So, in my opinion, Torrey Holt should get in. And it's because he's one of the greatest receivers of all time. One of the greatest receivers in his window that he played. Super Bowl champion, too.
Bro, I have
he was before his time.
He was. He actually was. He would be even better in this day and age. Because back then, you could hit receivers hard and whatnot. Shots fired. You brought up Steve Smith Sr. I don't think he gets in this time, although he should. I have 3 other names that I'll give you I think will beat him out. But I do. I mean, I feel like I had such a privilege. I covered him in Baltimore. I covered Marshall Yanda in Baltimore, and I covered Terrell Suggs, all 3 of them.
That's insane.
And that is crazy to see all these names on here. I actually have a Steve Smith Sr. story. So the Ravens had a practice outside of their facility at like a local stadium. And so I'm there. I'm just a young buck coming up in the game. One-man band. I'm sure you remember this from Missouri days. You have the camera. You're doing everything. Live shot, shooting, all of it. And the buzzer goes off for the end of practice. All the Ravens are running off. I got a gang of them already, sound-wise, right? But I wanted Steve Smith Sr. It's like his first season there. And I was like, damn, I didn't get him. But he's running past me. Ravens brass. The PR is like, come on, guys, let's go. We got to go in. And I go, hey, Steve, can you just give me a quick 2-minute interview? I'm just a young man trying to make it. I literally said that. He goes, yeah, I got you. Stops, takes off his helmet, gets comfortable. I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm scrambling. I give him the mic. I started asking my questions. Of course, Ravens PR comes over, gets in my face. Hey, it's the end of practice. What are you doing? Steve Smith goes, it's cool. He's with me. Oh,
Nice.
I got 5 minutes with Steve Smith.
Yeah.
The whole field had cleared out. Fans were leaving. He's interviewing with me, shakes my hand, says, good luck, kid,
Nice.
and goes in. Think about that.
Love that.
That's a Hall of Famer.
Because I love that he did it in the nice way possible.
He did.
And he was a mother effer on the field.
Man.
But he literally, it's like when they get in your face, you can be like, he's a grown man. He made his own choice and said
right.
yes. That's what Steve Smith basically said. Like, I'm a grown man. I can
got
talk to him.
It's very, in hindsight now, you're right. It's very Steve Smith to do that, right?
Yeah.
Like, I got this.
Yeah.
But
he's just asking me questions.
he
That's
did
awesome.
it with me, and thank you, Steve Smith. All right. You're still not going to make it this time.
Hold
though.
on. But he's 8th all time in receiving yards.
I know.
He's the Panthers all time leading receiver.
I know.
He was so dominant at his size, too, which is so impressive. One of the best run blocking wide receivers in the game. One of the hardest runners after the catch.
All around game.
Just so dominant.
Got hurt, came back,
Yep.
still is good.
And for such a long span as well.
Yeah.
14, 15-year
Yep.
career, I think.
He was great with the Ravens, too,
And
later.
exactly. When he went to the Ravens, it's one of those new settings. You think he still got it, and he still did. It's what he did with Carolina, and it's what he did with Baltimore. He wasn't that consistent year in, year out, 1,000-yard receiver,
Yeah.
but he played so hard that he battled through it.
Yeah.
And still, again, a not consistent 1,000-yard receiver, 8th all time in the NFL in receiving yards.
Bro,
He's one of the greatest wide receivers of all time. He should get it.
one thing you left out with him is for the majority of his career, no shade, but
the
it was
quarterbacks.
Jake Delhomme.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that says it all.
Super Bowl appearing, Jake Delhomme.
As much as I love Steve Smith Sr., and it sounds like he's on your list, he's not on mine. I have Antonio Gates, which, let's call him what he was. He probably was one of the original, like, prototypical tight ends that we see now in the league. He was back then.
Athletic, good route runner.
My God.
Won't block too much, but could block.
And he didn't have Jake Delhomme throwing him the ball. He had Phillip Rivers.
Yeah.
And he had Drew Brees before that, actually. So I think Antonio Gates gets in.
Are you ready for the Eli Manning conversation?
He's got to get in, George.
Eventually.
I think he gets in now.
No.
I do. That's why I have Steve Smith Sr. off. I think Eli gets in.
He's not. He won 2 Super Bowls. He was super clutch in both playoff runs. Obviously, super clutch in both playoffs.
He doesn't have Hall of Fame numbers.
Super clutch in both Super Bowls. Exactly. He's not. When he was in the NFL, he wasn't one of the best quarterbacks. When he was in the league. So you're going to say he's one of the best quarterbacks of all time by putting him in the Hall of Fame. But it's the 2 wins. It's playing on the big stage. And if he never gets in, he'd be one of 2 quarterbacks to have two rings and not get in. Jim Plunkett.
You know damn well.
He's going to get in.
Jim Plunkett. Can we listen? Respect to Jim Plunkett. His last name ain't Manning, dog. And by the way, the longer
He doesn't get in.
the longer time goes, let's say Eli doesn't get in, and you're right. The longer this goes, he's not getting in because his numbers are not Hall of Fame. He has to get in now. And I do not believe for a second. Call me a conspiracy theorist all you want. Maybe I am. But I don't believe for a second that the NFL is going to let a Manning
He'll get in eventually.
just wither away in the ether. Oh, he's not a Hall of Famer. Peyton, you're in. Come on. Like, no way. No shot. Eli gets in immediately and expeditiously because they don't want that hanging over the product. So I have Eli on my list as well. And then I have Luke Kuechly getting in. Listen, he should have played longer.
He couldn't.
That's the knock on him, and he couldn't.
Literally, he could not.
He could not.
Yeah.
But that's the knock. I do understand the thinking of, well, he didn't play long enough. But if you look at his numbers, unlike Eli gave us the moments, the Hall of Fame moments. Lord knows we know it around here. Kuechly, technically, even though he didn't play as long as we all would have hoped and liked to see him play, his numbers are Hall of Fame. He was so prolific in a short span of time that I think Kuechly gets in.
He was Defensive Rookie of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, 7-time All-Pro, 5 of those first-team All-NFL. Again, it's like my Hall of Fame conversation starts with Luke Kuechly. Were you the best linebacker when you played in the NFL? Yes. And that's where it starts for him. And it is, again, well, people go, availability, injuries. It was concussions for him. It wasn't knees. It wasn't shoulder. It wasn't him missing games for any reason. He was the best linebacker whenever he was in the NFL. 2-time led the league in sacks as well. And he was doing it all with the Carolina Panthers. A lot of good defensive players around him. Played for some good coaches. But it was him also, too, like part of the game. And what makes quarterbacks great and what you attribute to them a lot is their IQ and what they bring in preparation of the game. Luke Kuechly knew that better than anybody.
Cerebral.
So smart, so tough. Exactly how cerebral he was. I think he gets in. I'm in on Kuechly getting in.
Bro, we have the same list except one, and I can't even believe you're doing this. I have Vinatieri, Holt, Gates, Kuechly, and Manning. You have Vinatieri, Holt, Gates, Kuechly, and my list is serving me correct. Steve Smith.
I have Steve Smith in. I don't have Eli in.
I can't believe this.
I have Steve Smith in.
Does Eli ever get in? Because
yes.
My theory is the longer it goes, the worse his numbers look. I think this is his window. I can't believe we disagree. I am shocked that you don't have Eli in the Hall of Fame. Shocked.
I can't when Steve Smith is on the ballot. But you know what they say? Steve next year.
Yeah, because remember, I brought this up with Torrey Holt.
Steve, you get it next year.
Receivers.
Torrey's been waiting.
So we agree with Torrey. But receivers, there's going to be a log jam.
Yeah.
There probably already is. Torrey Holt not being in tells you, right?
Exactly.
But there's going to be a log jam because of the numbers, George. The numbers are so inflated and insane that I just don't think receivers are really, unless you're a Randy Moss, right, where it's obvious, I don't think receivers are getting in first ballot. I think this is going to be a pattern for a lot. We will see a lot of great receivers who we covered and we watched that were like, how are they? Steve Smith's one of them. Like, how are they not first ballot? This is how, because there's a logjam. I am telling you, I'm willing to bet. Maybe we should revisit this next episode. But I'm willing to bet Eli gets in. I just don't think the NFL is going to play that game where he doesn't get in and he lingers around and people say, his numbers aren't great.
I'm not saying he's going to wait forever.
I'll give you a comp.
Just not getting in right now.
I'll give you a comp. Terry Bradshaw, Joe Namath. These
more interceptions and
their
touchdowns.
numbers were awful.
But in the big game, all Joe Namath did was say they're going to win. That was it. That was literally it. He played terrible in that Super Bowl.
George, that's all it takes, baby.
Terry Bradshaw has more career interceptions than touchdowns.
That's all it takes, baby. The moments.
But we have too much information in this day and age to say the moments.
That's why I think time will hurt Eli. That's why you gotta do it now.
Him in now.
You gotta do it now. By the way, last thing on this. You are glossing over the biggest point. His last name is Manning.
You gonna make Eli wait?
Nope.
You gonna make Peyton wait?
Nope. By the way, Terrell Suggs was good. Yondo was good.
Jared Allen's a unique name. He bounced around the league. He has over 130 career sacks.
Gosh, there's some good names on this. Don't you love football? Fred Taylor's not getting in. I love your podcast.
I don't think Fred Taylor ever gets in.
Hey, man, I love your podcast, man. You ain't getting in, dog. It's not going to happen.
He was talented. There's just a lot of bad Jaguars teams. But it's like, So you would tell me, like, eventually a Fred Taylor, you're putting him in on a ballot above a Steve Smith?
No.
Above a Terrell Suggs?
No shot.
Above a Luke Kuechly?
No shot.
Above a Torrey Holt?
Absolutely
Exactly.
Not. No.
It's just like on this alone, above Antonio Gates?
Yeah, respected career, but no. He's not getting in above any of those guys. I think Eli gets in based off of 2 Super Bowls against our Patriots. Speaking of which.
And a last name.
And a last name. If you want the latest on the Patriots and the NFL, we'll tell you what Mike Vrabel and the Pats could and should do with the 4th pick in the upcoming NFL draft on NESN's football podcast, Foxborough Rush. It's available on YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Amazon, and wherever else podcasts are found. All right, let's play a little game here. Let's go down in the land of make-believe and play a little game of what if, because Kyrie had some interesting comments here. Kyrie Irving said he, Anthony Davis, and Kevin Durant all talked about playing together in Boston back in 2018 with the hope to do so. You see the graphic here. So eventually they can play alongside Jason Tatum as he grew into the monster we see nowadays. Quote, "It was a dream for Kyrie, AD, KD to be on one team and still keep JT and let him grow and then see how it goes." So we got to thinking with this beautiful graphic, what if that had happened? George shaking his head means you don't even want to entertain it.
What happened with Kyrie and KD in Brooklyn? And you're gonna tell me that would work with him in Boston?
Why are you're so mean?
Bro, but like, what was he? He's a bucket. But him with Kevin Durant in Brooklyn didn't work. You think maybe him even? I don't think he was even more immature. But think about it. Like until LeBron got to Cleveland, Kyrie talented as hell. But the first few years of his career, you were like, what are you doing here? Yeah. Look at him in Brooklyn. How he runs his way out of that situation. In Dallas, he refound happiness in basketball. He refound the ability to not talk or tweet, which helps him a ton. And it was like you had AD, again, like playing 50, 60 games around that time.
Around that
time.
time.
And like toxicity-wise, like running his way out of New Orleans, which I honestly don't blame him for, AD.
Wouldn't you?
KD was still available and playing games, but it's just you put them all together around a young Jason Tatum would not have been good for his maturation or growth.
Tatum would have learned a lot of bad habits, a lot of diva habits.
That's a thing of like the adults in the room.
Yeah.
Who are the adults in the room?
I mean, I guess now, of course, if you took all those guys as veterans and the maturity to your point, it could have worked. But I actually think this is the best thing that never happened to Jason Tatum because it allowed him to become what we see now. And think about this,
and it kept Jalen Brown in Boston.
Well, there you go. That's where I was going to go. It kept Jalen Brown in Boston, and I mean, we're all guilty of it. I know I've done it once upon a time. I don't do it anymore. But we already give Jason Tatum hell for not being the man enough, right? Is it Jalen Brown? Is it Jason Tatum? Who's the alpha? Blah, blah, blah. Well, imagine if Jason Tatum was surrounded by these guys that we're bringing up here, an Anthony Davis, a Kevin Durant, a Kyrie Irving. I mean, what is that?
Yeah.
At that point, you're fourth fiddle. What's Jalen Brown? So it's the best thing that ever happened to him.
And that's a Jason Tatum, too, looking around. Remember, he had to get talked out of, like, wanting to be traded, not demanding a trade.
Yes.
Early in his career.
That's right.
Looking around the room going, man, like, I want to – and his agent's like, just relax.
Just be patient.
You're going to be all right.
Yeah.
Chill out.
Yeah.
Don't worry they did this.
Yeah.
To your point of him being fourth fiddle, like, he isn't the player he is today, which he's top 6 in the league.
I'd say top
5.
He's top 5, dog. He might be. Is he?
No.
All right, let's do it. Let's just do it quick.
Jokic. Doncic.
Am I crazy to throw Wemby in there already?
I think, but I wouldn't say so. But let's
just do it. Wemby, Giannis, no particular order, just guys better.
SGA.
Yeah, you're right.
He's
on. Top 6.
Yeah. You threw Wemby in.
And I threw Wemby in.
Top 5's not bad.
You're right.
He'd be 5th.
Yeah.
Maybe he's 4th ahead of SGA. Put SGA there.
I don't know, man. Right now, golly. SGA, he's the MVP of the league.
But who knows if he gets there because you leave Boston, you get to a different, different city, a different franchise, entirely different situation. And for the Celtics as a whole, like Kyrie, KD, and AD don't land in Boston and Jalen Brown and Jason Tatum stick around. There's no way you keep all 5 of those guys on the roster.
Yeah.
It'd be a Tatum or Brown that gets dealt. Likely Brown. Right. And then what is Jalen Brown's career trajectory? And it's again, what was Kyrie in Boston? What was he in Boston?
Well, so that's
was an all-star. 2018, he was an all-star. But that's when this all happened. Trade rumors started to circulate out.
Yeah.
And that young locker room wasn't able to handle it. And again, who had to be that leader in the locker room? Kyrie, and he couldn't handle it.
That's the what if. This current what if we're talking about is too clouded. It's really Kyrie.
Yes.
If Kyrie gets his shack together and just matures here and stays here with these young pups, wow. right? I don't thrown in AD and KD is cute for a topic of conversation like we're doing now. But the real what if is Kyrie. George, I tell this story a lot on Hold My Banner. When I was at the championship parade for the Celtics last season, I saw hundreds of people stomp on a Kyrie Irving Duke jersey.
Good for them.
There were chants of F. Kyrie at a championship parade.
Good for them.
I mean, like, he is hated here.
Yeah.
So he is the biggest what if out of all these names. I know the stars we're talking about here in AD and KD, but it's really Kyrie. Mm-hmm. He's the what if out of this. What if you had yourself together back then? Because we do see maturity from him now. What if that was you then and you came to coming of age with these guys, Tatum and Brown? That's the what if.
And it was AD. We still didn't see him fully be available. He's still like
that's what I'm saying. Take them out of it.
Good season.
I'm taking them out.
KD, I would take KD in a heartbeat over so many players. It was you literally saw Kyrie here, and the players that would have been around him would just be bigger than neighbors. You saw it in Brooklyn. What makes you think it would have worked with 26-year-olds Kyrie Irving in Boston with KD there with eight? No, it wouldn't.
Well, in Brooklyn, they had Harden, right?
Yeah. How many? They played like 16 games altogether, all three of them.
God.
That's Kyrie giving middle fingers to the crowd in between inbounds.
Bro, we have the luxury here in Boston of doing a hypothetical what if.
Yeah.
In
Imagine
Brooklyn, they are upset that what if didn't work. Because they had three of the top guys in their primes.
They had it.
And none of them played at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, when you have Jimmy Harden there, it's not a lot's going to work.
I forgot. Folks, George refuses to call James Harden by his government name, James.
Show up in the playoffs once.
And then he could be James?
Maybe.
Okay. Well, listen. Our names are Travis Thomas and George Valecki, and we thank you for rolling with us here on Boston Has Entered the Chat. Till next time, when we ask you to enter it again, Jimmy Harden, sorry, you're not invited. Peace!
Later.